There's one thing every top YouTuber in the world has in common, and that is that if they started a new YouTube channel from scratch today, they'd grow it 10 times faster. But why? It's because they've learned what not to do, as well as some powerful tricks that amplify growth. And in this video, we're going to reveal some of them to you. But not just reveal, we're going to demonstrate how to use them to grow your channel by taking viewers' videos, removing the things that hold them back, and then we're going to add the things that will make them 10 times more powerful that these top YouTubers all know about. And just to make it interesting, we're gonna do this live. Starting with the easiest way to get more views you'll ever come across, and I really wish I'd known this before I tried to go on YouTube. And of course, I'm talking about your click-through rate, but not the click-through rate that you'd expect. I'm talking about the click-through rate that is going to enable you to create really long session times on YouTube. And session times on YouTube are everything, because YouTube wants you to keep people on the platform for as long as possible and watch as much content as possible. And when you do that, they will reward you with more impressions. And when people watch one of your videos and then another and then another, they're more likely to subscribe, all of your content gets more views, and your channel will grow faster. And I just wish I'd known this before I started on YouTube. So what is it? Well, it's simple. It's the click-through rate of your end screens. So what is an end screen click-through rate? Well, an end screen click-through rate is the percentage of people who have seen your end screen and then clicked on it. And it's really easy to find this out about your own content. So if you want to find it, click on a video and then click on analytics and then scroll down to the engagement bit and then down to the bottom of the page, and you're going to find this. And what we want to do is get this end screen click-through rate as high as possible. Now, you might find that your channel average click-through rate is super low. It might be like 0.9%. Mine used to be before I started taking this seriously. And if we can get that number high, it's the first sign we've got that we're creating these awesome session times that YouTube is going to reward us from. But it's not a magic bullet, okay? So just because you have a high end screen click-through rate doesn't mean that you're going to blow up or go viral. This is a habit that you need to form so that you have tons of content working together. So as I've just established, it's important, but let me just show you why it's so important. So let's say you make a video and the video is 5 minutes long. You have a 5-minute session time if someone completes it. If you don't tell them what to do next or make an end screen clear, what do? They go and they click somewhere else on YouTube. Someone else's video, they leave, and you get a 5-minute session time. And YouTube's not happy with that. So you take them on a journey and you drive them from one video to the next, to the next, to the next, and you turn that initial click that you fought so hard for into a half-an-hour binge fest. And that's why end screens are so flipping important, because that's what YouTube wants you to do. So we all think of click-through rate as the most important thing, and it is, but it's just step one. Your job is not to get people to watch one video, it's to get them to watch tons. And now I have a challenge for you. So I'm setting you a goal, and I want you to make your next video's end screen click-through rate, this one here, as close to 20% as you can get it. And if you get it to 20%, I want you to make your next video as close to 30% as possible. My current record is 27%, but I usually sit around the sort of 15 to 22% mark. And it's a really great sign if you can do this. Now, in a second, I'm going to show you how to create a persuasive end screen by taking one of the viewers of this channel's end screens, and I've rewritten it, and then we're going to analyze the language to use to make sure you get this high click-through rate. But I just want you to think about this first. YouTube is about making people want to know what happens next. I want you to think about that at every step of your journey. The title and the thumbnail. Think about it. A high click-through rate is achieved by making people want to know what happens next. The story, once they've clicked, every element should be designed to help them want to know what happens next. And then that's where most people end. But you're not going to end there anymore. Oh no, you're going to be thinking, how do I make people want to know what happens next? So let's move on and talk about how to do that right now, shall we? So this is our first channel we're going to take a look at. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of context as to what this channel is about. So this is a creator called Gabrielle. And Gabrielle's channel is about kind of business, marketing, and making money. And this video here is about the new Prime drink. So we'll go into that in a little bit more detail in a second. But before, I'm just going to show you his end screen. So let's check this out.
6 months later, we have 3 million bottles going to Walmart, Target, Kroger, CVS, Ralph, GNC, Vitamin Shop.
The sky is the limit, and this should inspire any creators planning to bring any product to market. We are living in a time where you can compete against corporate giants if you take the time to pick up a camera and execute your ideas. As always, thanks for watching.
Okay, so what is the problem with that end screen, Tyler?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty inspiring outro there, a nice little wrap up, but he doesn't point anyone to watch any videos from his channel, and even worse, not a specific video.
Okay, cool, that's perfect. So that is the main problem we've got here. How do we now go about fixing this issue? Now, I do apologise for you guys watching live, by the way. It does look like there's a lot of lag. I'm currently in Portugal, so I don't have the same internet as I do at home. Hopefully it's working. If not, I'll just re-upload this whole thing as a video afterwards. Anyway, let's dive in. So what we want to be having a look at here is, the first thing is, how do we get people to click and care about something? And as Tyler's just established, there's not been enough work that's been done there. So we want to think, what's the next logical step for this viewer? So the next logical step for this viewer, we have to think about the avatars and what they really care about. And what the avatars really care about, well, let's have a think, Tyler. Based on what we know about this channel, what do you think the viewers will care about next?
Well, they're clicking because of probably a few reasons. They could be Logan Paul fans, KSI fans watching because they know about the drink. Also, just fans of business in general, economics, wanting to learn how to go against a giant like Gatorade.
Yep, sure. So we know that they're interested in like Logan Paul, and we know they're interested in KSI, Gatorade, economics, business, all those sort of things. So we take those things into consideration and we think about our end screen. So those are the things we care about, the next logical step. And usually what we would do is we would pick a video from our bank to point them back to that, you know, might interest these people, but we don't have that luxury here. So we've got to point people back to, why does everyone keep buying cookie crumble even? So what I've done is I've rewritten this end screen now. I'm going to present it to you guys, and hopefully you will be able to see how to make it persuasive, and then we're going to break it down based on all of those things that the avatar might care about. All right, so here we go. This is the new end screen. The thing is, growing a massive following is helpful, but that alone won't make your sales. There's actually one more thing that you have to combine with it if you really want to make insane money. And in this video here, I'll not just show you what it is, but also show you how this cookie company is using it to generate millions every day. So do not ignore that if you really want to progress. So that's the kind of way that I should feel like the end screen itself should be presented. So now let's have a look at some of the ways that you can make this more sort of interesting and captivating to the viewer. So I've highlighted a few words. So the thing is, growing a massive following, so we're overemphasizing what we know our avatars care about, is helpful, but that alone won't make your sales. And then there's actually one more thing that you have to combine with it. So what we're doing is we're setting up that actually this is the first step, there's way more to this. If you really want to make insane money. And as Tyler and I were talking about a minute ago, that's kind of what these avatars care about and the whole point of this channel. And in this video here, I'll not just show you what it is, but also show you how this cookie company is using it to generate millions every day. So do not ignore that if you want to progress. So we know they want to generate millions. We just put this emphasis on. And that's kind of the way to look at this. And it does feel to people sometimes that they kind of have to be a bit over the top with the words that they're using to try and convince people to click. But that is the name of the game on YouTube. That's what click-through rates and thumbnails and titles are all about. It's all about being the biggest, the fastest, the most extreme, and we have to carry those elements into our end screens too. So we're going to break down another one of our viewers' end screens now, and we're going to talk about what they've done, what they could do better, and then we're going to go even deeper on the kind of persuasive language. So I'm going to show you the clip of our next viewer, and this is Ryan. So just to give you a little bit of context, Ryan has a channel about writing scores. So classical music. And this video here is about how to write epic cinematic strings. So I'll play it out, then we'll talk about the avatars, the problem, and then we'll fix it.
Another great technique to get a big and full sound in your orchestration is to write resonance parts in your other section. Check out this video here where I talk about what resonance is and how to use it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
All right, Tyler, what are the problems that we have there with that end screen?
Yeah, so it looks like he points viewers to a relevant video that they can go on and watch, which is great, but it's just not persuasive enough, I'd say. He doesn't really explain quickly the reason they should watch that next. He's just not quite as persuasive as he could be.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the big problems that I've seen with a lot of people who have started trying to do these end screen elements, is they say, watch this video next, but they don't really set up anything more. And that's not enough. It's a good first step, and Ryan, you'll probably find that the click-through rate on your element, your end screen element there was probably about 7 to 10%, I'm gonna guess, because I've seen that when you don't say that much persuasive, words to try and get people to click, that's what you end up with, just pointing. But we want to take that up to a 20. So I've rewritten this to try and get you as close to a 20% end screen click-through rate as I possibly can. And let me find it. It's actually, I'm not going to reveal it yet. I'm just going to present it to you. So here's what I think Ryan's end screen should have been, and then we're going to break down all the words and so on side. Okay. The thing is, if you really want to blow your listeners away and take it up a level, this isn't enough on its own. There's actually one more thing that you have to combine with it, and I've found that without this, you just won't create the emotional reaction that your viewers are after on the same level. And that's why you really shouldn't ignore this video here, because it's going to take what you've just learned and make it 10 times powerful, maybe even more, 100% times more powerful. So there we are, that's a sort of rough idea of it. So let's break down the script now. And I'm going to go a lot deeper on this one. So some of the things that you want to think about with the avatar is like, what are they interested in? So we know that they're interested in writing epic cinematic strings. Tyler, why do you think people who write classical music, what sort of result do you think they want from their content in terms of the listener?
Yeah, if they're writing music and they want people to listen to it, they want to create an emotional reaction, and they want their audience to feel something.
That's right. So it's kind of the same with video. So what we want to look at here is we want to get that into the content. So there's a few things that I think, they want to make their music more cinematic. They want to invoke emotional reaction, like Tyler just said. They want to improve, and they kind of want people to be like, wow, this music's flipping amazing. So let's analyze what I wrote. The thing is, if you really want to blow your listeners away, that's your avatar's desire, and take it up a level, this isn't enough on its own. So we're letting them know it's good, it's not quite good enough. There's actually one more thing you have to combine it with. So emphasis on have to let them know that if they really want to achieve their goals, they've got to push it further. And I found that without this, you just won't create the emotional reaction you're after on the same level. So we're kind of second guessing what our avatars care about. And some of them might not be after that, but I'm pretty sure most of them will be. And that's why you really shouldn't ignore this video here, because it's going to take what you've just learned and made it 10 times more powerful, maybe even 100 times. So again, it's all about being confident in your content and making sure that you're not afraid to let them know that what you've made is good. And you've just got to assume if they've got to the end of the video, they thought what you made is good because they would have left. So you can say it's 10 times better, it's 100 times better, and you can say that your video is good. And I find that it holds a lot of creators back. They really aren't confident enough to say, watch this next because it's good. So you've got to believe in your own videos. But again, all of this is designed to focus on this, that YouTube is about making people want to know what happens next. So we establish what they care about, and then we let them know that the video next is the answer to their problems. So next up, we're going to play a game. This is called The Video You Could Have Made. So what me and Tyler have done is, the viewers of the channel have sent in their videos, and what we've done is we've taken their content idea, the concept around it, that's done okay, and we've taken any problems that might be causing it to not get the kind of views that it could do, and we've tried to fix them with the video they could have made instead. So all will become clear when I show you, but let's just dive in first and remake the video that our first contestant, Simon, sent in to us. So this is the video we're going to turn into something that is more clickable and hopefully would do better. So the video itself is about shadow profiles. Let me just give you some context to what this is. So basically, Facebook, when you make an account, create like another account version of you, which is a little bit shady, and then they use it for sort of data, and it's kind of complicated, but it's not necessarily the nicest thing. Now, it does have pros and cons, but We want to focus on one of those. And as we know, Facebook love to harvest our data. So that's kind of what this video is about. So Tyler, do you just want to sum up what some problems with this thumbnail might be to start off with?
Yeah, of course. The YouTube journey, it all starts with the click. When people see that thumbnail, read that title, and I mean, the thumbnail text here, it says Facebook shadow profiles explained. And if a lot of viewers are like me, I don't know, they just don't know what shadow profiles mean. I didn't before finding this video. And so seeing that text repeated in the thumbnail and title and emphasizing the shadow profiles, it's just not quite intriguing enough. As well, the images on the thumbnail itself, like the white profile and Mark Zuckerberg in the background, it just doesn't pop as much as it could.
Yeah, 100% agree. So that's one of the things that's holding back this channel. And actually, if we look at the rest of the channel, we can see that it's actually about the kind of the evil of online companies. So it's super specific. And actually, it looks like your audience isn't necessarily that specific. So maybe the video you could have made needs to address that. So those are the problems. How do you go about fixing them? Well, the first thing you do is you go and you do some research. So I'll show you what myself and Tyler have come up with in the research phase, which will then tell us what content to make. So these are some videos we found on similar topics about Facebook. And Tyler, do you just want to walk us through the pattern that we discovered about these videos?
Yeah, so as we were looking on YouTube and searching up videos that were related to this topic, a lot of them were kind of just talking about the extreme level of like, maybe threat is a strong word, but like kind of the problem that Facebook is creating. You know, some of these videos aren't about shadow profiles, but you know, there's plenty of other things they talk about, and it's all kind of about, you know, problems Facebook is making for themselves, and they kind of take that to the extreme, often in the title. Also, in the top left there, Mark Zuckerberg, it's not just a picture of him. It's kind of like a creepy, like, he looks like he's on a screen. He kind of looks like a villain, you know, and so they're really making it look like they're up to something, you know? Yeah.
So the pattern, if we go back to those extremes again, is that there's evil going on here. And I think the Vice one's done an amazing job of making him look super creepy from a clickable point of view. But also, when we went and looked more on shadow profiles, we found that actually there are some videos that are getting a lot of views about shadow profiles, but they're not focusing on the image. And actually, the thing they're doing in the image is making it look like Mark Zuckerberg's in trouble. He's in a court, he's being questioned, which then, going back to that thing that I want everyone to focus on, makes us wonder what's going to happen next in the video itself. So myself and Tyler decided to come up with some new ideas for this video, and let's start with the titles that we came up with first. So we decided that shadow profiles doesn't need to be in the title itself. It's too specific. So here are some options we came up with. And we write down the first one. The real X, fill in the gap, with Facebook, you should be worried about. Now the problem with this title is too long. Tyler, what is a good video length title?
Yeah, typically to fit on the sidebar or the homepage, 50 characters or less.
So this is too long. So when you're coming up with a video title, I often find that the first attempt's always too long, but that's okay, write it down, try and make it shorter. So the massive problem with Facebook everyone is ignoring, it's extreme, it's intriguing. The dirty secret Facebook doesn't want you to know, it's getting shorter. Facebook's dirty secret you should be afraid of, it's extreme again. And then we got a bit weird. So there is reason for the weirdness in these next titles. Tyler, do you just want to run us through why we came up with video titles about mums?
Yeah, we were talking about titles. We were talking about how Facebook, it's just kind of weird these days. Like, I don't know anyone who uses it a lot, like none of my friends or anyone. And I told Ed, like, I think the only person I know of who actually uses Facebook and likes it is my mom.
And I agreed. So we thought, well, hang on. If that's the case, then maybe this would be an interesting title for the videos. So we came up with Facebook's after your mum. Is Facebook hurting your mum? And how Facebook manipulates your mum. So these were some things that we just threw around with based on the things that we learned from researching. And then we came up also with some thumbnails. So there's a lot of thumbnails for this video. I'm just gonna start off by showing you our first concept. So going back to the research, this video here about shadow profiles where Mark is being interviewed and looks like he's in prison, it seemed like a smart way to go because it intrigues you as to like what has he done wrong. So we came up with a concept that made him look like he was in jail. But also, Tyler, do you just want to walk us through another pattern that's really big on YouTube right now and why we chose this color?
Yeah, of course. We've kind of been talking about this a lot recently. A lot of YouTubers, a lot of videos on the homepage are kind of doing that orange jumpsuit pattern that we've been seeing a lot of, that high contrast orange in the very center of a dark background. It really makes it pop, and Mark kind of jumps out when everything else kind of fades into the background, and Mark is just right there in the center, taking up all the attention.
That's right, yeah. So you'll notice this on Ryan Trahan, Eric. They're all using orange jumpsuits at the moment, flat backgrounds. So we thought, okay, prison, it's interesting. We can get the jumpsuit trend in here, and then we've got loads of different options. But Tyler also came up with another concept, which makes it look like Mark has been sentenced. But also you can see, how these ones might intrigue an audience. Now, I'm just going to go back a slide. Just for anyone who's on the live, these are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from left to right. Do you guys want to vote and let me know which one you think is the most effective? And we're going to go on to the one that I think is the most effective based on these. But by doing this and putting in different titles and thumbnails into Thumbs Up TV and then screenshotting it, you get a really good idea of what's going to work. And you also have some backup thumbnails and titles if it doesn't work out. So these are the ones that I kind of thought worked the best. Tyler, which one would you side with?
I especially like the title for the right one. And I can't pick a favorite quite for the thumbnails, but I think the right overall has the best packaging.
Yeah, I'd agree. So if it was me, I'd probably launch with the thumbnail and title as it is. And if I felt it was lagging, I'd potentially switch to the dark. But it's an effective package. And then what it's done is it's taken a video and made it more clickable. Now you might be thinking, well, that has nothing to do with shadow profiles. And you're right, it doesn't, because we know that shadow profiles might not be that clickable, especially when the video is impressed on the homepage. And this is why it's so important to do thumbnails and titles first, because you need to work out the problems and the reasons that people don't click, fix them, and then work out how to make your content fit that. And you could totally lead into a video all about shadow profiles as a result. And I'm just looking at the people who are voting now, and it looks like a lot of people were going for 2, which is the one I believe, yes, that we came up with 2. So it's the dirty secret you should be afraid of, and we went with you shouldn't ignore. So it's a close one, that. So let's move on to the next channel who sent in their video. And we're gonna try and make this one more clickable. So here's the channel, and it's the video in the top left, how to find and center a thermal. Okay, so Tyler, let's have a look at the problems first, and then we'll move on to how to make this, or make the video that they could have made, which hopefully would have get it more traction. So what are the problems you can see there?
Yeah, so this channel, he makes videos specifically for paragliders, which is great. And this video being for paragliders is awesome. But I think even though paragliders are going to know what thermaling is and how to find thermals, they might be intrigued by this video. I still think the thumbnail and title can be more intriguing to those viewers. And also, if this channel wanted to appeal to a broader audience, there's some more options we could go with as well.
100%. So first thing to do is, just like the Facebook video, is to go and think and look how other people package up content. So we went and had a good look on YouTube, and our other paragliding content, they got a lot of views. And what pattern did we notice, Tyler?
Yeah, it's kind of like those mid-action shots, people in the foreground, flying in the air, and the world is behind them, kind of small. And it really pops out as them like feeling like they're super high up and doing something insane.
Yeah. So again, it's all about extremes, and that really is the ultimate pattern on YouTube. It's showing things to people that they maybe haven't seen before that make them go, wow. So this first thumbnail is intriguing. It definitely makes you wonder what happens next. The next one with the dog is kind of outrageous. The couch one is crazy. It's just super intriguing. And then this one here I like because it actually looks like he's in a spot of bother. It doesn't look like things going that well. But actually, all of them tell a little bit of a story. And if we think about your avatars, what is it they care about? So a lot of channels, and let me give you an example, travel channels, golf channels, motorbike channels, channels about hobbies. When people aren't doing them and experiencing them, what are they thinking about? And it's usually thinking about doing their hobby. So they spend a lot of time on YouTube living vicariously through other people and watching content that gets them as close as they can possibly get to feeling the thing that they love doing in person. And I feel like this channel here really needs to harness that. So if we go back and have a look at the thumbnail, it's just not doing that. It's not selling them the dream that inside here is the feeling that they are going to, love. So myself and Tyler came up with some new thumbnails. Let's have a look at them, shall we? Oh no, before we do that, let's have a go through some of the titles we came up with. So first one, I tried to fly as high as I could. Now, titles like this are heavily story-based, and it tells us that, excuse me, we're going to be able to sit back, click play, and enjoy it. It's not necessarily a tutorial, but it also opens up this question here, makes people want to know what happens next. The next is I tried to ride a thermal as high as I could. So we have to be careful here because this channel might not want to be super general and it might not care about tons of views. It might be super targeted to paragliding fanatics, and that title there would be appealing to them, and I think they would click on more than the current one. I found the biggest thermal ever, again tells a story. I tried to ride the biggest thermal. Sounds exciting, right? Flying to 12,000 feet on my paraglider, which copies the other video, which is about 17,000 feet. We don't know what is good in terms of feet or interesting. You'd have to make that up for yourself. And then I tried to paraglide as high as I could. So there's a few examples, and then we came up with these thumbnails. So Tyler, do you just want to walk us through the pattern of these thumbnails?
Yeah, of course. So it's kind of that bright orange parachute, contrasting the blue of the sky, the mountains. And we start out a little bit more realistic and kind of just go for some different concepts. We end up going a little bit more extreme, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So the basic concept is just like the me pointing to the arrow of him small in frame flying. And it's a pretty cool thumbnail, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And you're going to see on YouTube a lot now, keep your eyes peeled, you're going to notice this thumbnail strategy everywhere. Me pointing at someone just to let them know that they're involved in the story. So we'll go from left to right again. If you guys in the chat are willing to vote, type in the number that you think is most effective, and we'll get back to that once I've gone through them. So the first one is probably the most honest in terms of, this is actually just a picture we got off Google, was it? Was it Google?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got this picture off Google, and then we just added it to the title. The problem I have with that is, I don't know enough about the avatars, but is that high? Would they consider that high? And I'm inclined to think no. So what we did is we took a higher background and put the same picture in and flipped it. So this is where you can start to see the curvature of the Earth, which is probably too high. We're not encouraging you to go and do something dangerous here. But again, YouTube's about extremes. And because the title says, I tried to ride a thermal as high as I could, you're not saying that this image is fact. And actually you're going to notice now all across YouTube that these sort of more clickbaity thumbnails and titles are happening. And it's not a problem because it's clear that it's a story and it's not trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, because this isn't supposed to be a tutorial that gives us this result. And then the next one, we've removed the arrow, kept it super simple, and just think about what I said about how paragliders, when they're not paragliding, are probably wishing they were paragliding. This image appeals to that. And then we've just done some subtle tweaks, and then we stepped it up a level. So this is based on the viral video that Red Bull did when someone jumped from the edge of space. And yeah, it's probably the one that took it too far, but it's, to me, the most intriguing because it's like, how has that person got that high? Now it looks like in the vote, everyone was going for number 5, which was the one that I was just talking about. And I could totally see why. But Tyler, which one would you pick or which two, or which ones do you think you would lead with as the first initial test?
Yeah, I think a lot of these things depend on your audience. And I don't know this guy's audience super well. But being avid paragliders, it seems, the first one seems like the most realistic, something they might like. But personally, I think the third one kind of strikes the best balance between that first realistic one and kind of pushing it to extremes and really making it intriguing.
Sure. So the majority of votes are coming in for 5, but I would play on the safe side. It depends on the content creator. It might just be too over the top for the viewers, and I know that the channel is very niche, so they might not find that amusing. It all depends on the content creator. So I think I think you're spot on there. The 2 that I went for are the play it safe one. I tried to fly as high as I could, and if you could get an amazing photo of you flying high, that'd be great. And then I also went for this other one that is super, super simple. So now we move on to the next channel, and this one is about dogs. So it's this video here that we're going to work on, and we're going to try and make the version that you could have made that would hopefully help it get more views. So we start off with the problem, we then go to research, and then we make the video title and thumbnail. So Tyler, what is the problem with this thumbnail? Let's start there.
Yeah, so this one's just kind of busy. There's a lot going on. There's a graph in the background, the dog, the text in the bottom kind of getting cut off. And it's hard to understand right away at a glance, like what he's talking about, and when you take a second to read it and like understand like what he's going for, it seems like he's going for, the opinion that Labradors are overrated. But he's in the center there and people want to click to hear about the Labrador, and it kind of just doesn't make sense to put him front and center there. So I would switch that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So the title itself is, it's not really giving too much away, but I'll go on to that in a second, because what we did with this title was we decided that we were going to leave it, because based on the research, you've had some success with similar titles. So instead of going to research YouTube as a whole, the first step we took on this channel was to actually look at it and work out what had done well and how we could maybe harness that. And you're going to notice straight away how to fix the problem that this thumbnail has when I switch this to most popular. All of their most popular videos are basically showing the dog, because that is what the avatar, the viewer, really flipping cares about, is that when they see a video, they see the thing they care about, they click on it. And actually, if we scroll down, you're in some of them that have done better, but pretty much all of your best performing videos, it's all about the dog. So we've got to go back and adjust that. Now, a massive problem I see on YouTube is that people want to feature in their thumbnails, and that's okay, but even I'm testing some of those on my own channel right now and noticing that the less I'm in them, the better they do. And if you think of it in terms of a cold viewer, you really want to understand what is it they care about. And in terms of dogs, they care about dogs. And I think dogs are probably one of the most clickable things on the internet, along with cats. So you've just got this army of amazing clickbait in Google Images waiting for you. So this was a pretty simple one to fix. But again, based on our research that didn't even leave your channel, this is the first thumbnails that we came up with. So I've just taken the dog and shown them what they love, right? There's not really much more to it than that. And then we thought, based on the video you made, we wanted to try and get a bit of controversy over them, like they're dumb and popular. Yeah, we decided to point at it and say overrated. And then we tried a slightly more over the top one again, which I kind of think is fun, because who calls puppies dumb, right? So it takes you back to that question of wanting to know what happens next. Now, these might be too extreme, but actually they focus on the thing that's worked well on your channel. And I think that if I was your channel, this is what I'd be looking at most of the time, is trying to get out of your thumbnails and go and look at what else has done really well on the platform, and then, focus on the dog. So Tyler, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think you just got to pay attention to your audience and really consider what they're thinking at every point. Because when you make that thumbnail, they're going to see that first, then they're going to read the title, then when they click, they're going to be watching that intro. You just got to kind of think about what their perspective is and what they're thinking, so you could appeal to them the best you can.
Cool, so Tyler is working at Film Booth right now. I've left the link to his channel in the description if you want to check it out. He makes videos about YouTube too. And it leads us on to probably the biggest problem that the viewers of this stream currently have after watching this. And that is that if you're trying to get people to click on an end screen, it means you've got to get them to the end screen to watch it. And that's one of the hardest things about YouTube after you've got the click, keeping that retention high. So make sure that you watch this video next, because it's going to show you some editing tricks and tips to use that are going to help get your retention high and increase those session times.